Hi, I'm Nick from Madison River Fishing Company. We get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails about what type of rod people should use. And either if you're a, experienced angler and you're adding to your quiver, or you're a beginner who's about to fall down the rabbit hole, there's always questions about the type of rod. A lot of it goes into where I'm fishing, what kind of fish I'm targeting, and what style of fishing I'm going to be doing. Here in Ennis, Montana on the Madison River, we use a lot of single hand rods that have usually no fighting butt, kind of lighter end rods. It's a trout river. We're in trout country here, so it's a lot easier to do that. We use a lot of 4 through 7 weights on the Madison here. There's also what's known as the spay game, which is a two-handed rod, usually anywhere from 11 feet to 15 feet, usually targeting salmon and steelhead, more of a coastal region. There is a big uptick in micro spay around here for trout spay, which is more of like a 3, 4, and 5 weight that's 11 feet to 10.5 to 11 to 12 feet. And then there's the big game rod of the saltwater game, which is usually targeting the Grand Slam species, tarpon, permit, bonefish, and snook, usually dealing with anywhere from a 7 weight to a 12 or 13 weight. Usually has a really big fighting butt, allows you to really pivot off of your hip when you're trying to land that 100-pound tarpon in the Keys. But with us, we deal, again, like I said, more of the freshwater trout single hand rods. There's mainly 3 different kinds of action that you can deal with that the brands label. On the Madison, it's basically 2. It's either a drift boat rod or a wade walking rod. With the drift boat rod, you're going to want a real fast action rod so you can pick up, hit the next hole, pick your fly up, move it to where you want it, cast a little bit of line, shorten up a little line. That goes into something like the Scott Radian, the Thomas & Thomas Avant, the Sage X. You go with a slow action rod is more of the wade walking rod. That is for spring creeks, maybe your stocking trout that are, surfacing, more of light presentation rods that you dive into more of, maybe the 4s and the 5 weights are a little bit slower action on that rod. The medium actions are usually a pretty good all-rounder entry-level rod, and if you throw a good line on it, you can usually get a lot done with a medium action rod that you can go from streamers to dry flies to nymphs with that. Like I said previously, on the Madison, we usually fish a 4, 5, 6, and 7 weight rod. A 4 weight is usually primarily a dry fly rod for us, throwing caddis flies, PMDs, yellow Sally, stuff like that. The 5 weight is more, again, of a dry fly rod, maybe a light nymph setup, small ball we call it here, and you can kind of get that to happen. The all-around rod for the Madison is probably the 6 weight. It allows you to do everything: dry flies, big nymph setup, double nymphs with split shot and a bobber, and then big streamers if you want. The 7 weights have made an impact into the game in the last couple of years. They usually have a fighting butt on them and allows you to throw, a sink lead or a sink tip with a big articulated streamer. Allows you to throw that all day and not feel like your arm's going to fall off. One of the other questions we get is length of rod. The 9-foot rods are the most commonly made rods out there, so a lot of them come strictly as a 9-foot rod. As you move up or down in size, it's more of a smaller creek, maybe dry fly rod, super tight techie, creek fishing or spring creek fishing. That's usually more of a 3 weight, 7.5, let's say, where you're bow shooting at little brookies. And then we've seen a massive uptick in longer rods, 9.5, 10-foot rods. The 10-foot rod is a great nymph rod that's more of like a European-style nymphing rod. We've seen a lot of that in the uptick on the drift boats where guys can reach way, another extra foot, can kind of high stick it around rocks while they're floating the drift boat. That has pretty much been it. The 9 weight, I would say 9'6". If it was me, I would probably go, some kind of fast action rod set up with a 6 weight. Allows you to cast through the wind. It gets windy in Montana, and we're throwing on big waters and covering some territory. Feel free to call us at 800-227-7127. We outfit people all over the world. If you're going to Cuba, Argentina, Belize, New Zealand, Montana, and Also find us online at MRFC.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to hopefully be doing a couple more videos like this on more information on your trip out to Montana. Thank you.